Chapter 51. Scamming a few more people. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 51. Scamming a few more people. You bay. This time, even if you chase me away, I still want to work at your company. I'm willing to work for free. Hackers were naturally sensitive to these brand-new technologies. Yu Bei was also a computer maniac. Naturally, he did not want to let go of this opportunity when he encountered all-intelligent technology. There's no need. I can still afford such a small salary. Yu Bei. You're the boss, you have the final say. Qin Xing sent a phone number over and continued, this is Hong Yuan's phone number. He's the general manager of our company. You can contact him. After sending it, she disappeared. Yu Bei was rather curious as to who this QS was. He sat in front of the computer, and the more he thought about it, the more unwilling he became. In less than 3 hours, he had been scammed into QS's company. Yu Bei turned on the computer again. No, someone had to accompany him into the cage that trapped him. He couldn't be the only one to be scammed, could he? Just like that, Yu Bei brought 3 hacker experts to Qin Sheng. They were also proficient in programming. Qin Sheng was naturally very happy. With Yu Bei, Hong Yuan would recruit other employees, so she didn't need to spend much effort. The company's matters came to an end. During the day, Qin Sheng would focus all her attention on her studies. At night, she would write her plans and leave the Qin family. Another week had passed, and it was time for this semester's standard test. Class 4. Teacher Lin stood on the podium, explaining the exam rules. Most of the students were not listening seriously. Every exam, this rule had to be mentioned. Just this alone, they had already heard it dozens of times, and their ears were about to grow calluses. Finally, Teacher Lin knocked on the lectern, and the class quieted down. Teacher Lin scanned the students one by one, and the usual sternness disappeared from her eyes. This time, just try your best. I have seen your hard work recently, and I believe that you will definitely improve. No matter what the result is, you will all be the best. Teacher Lin finally looked at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng, with your usual results, you will definitely have no problems. Relax. Qin Sheng had only arrived in the second semester of her 3rd year of high school. This was her first exam in H City High School. She was worried that she would be nervous, so she paid extra attention to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng's eyes curved and she nodded her head. Okay, that's it for today. Do your best tomorrow. Teacher Lin packed her things and walked out of the classroom. As soon as Teacher Lin left, Lin Feng and the others surrounded her. Sister Sheng, your results will definitely crush those guys in class 1 who have eyes on their heads. Let's see what they have to be proud of. That's right, Sister Sheng. You're too awesome. You're awesome at fighting and studying. You're my idol. Sister Sheng, our class will be depending on you this time. As they spoke, they lowered their heads and tugged at their clothes. Sister Sheng, if we embarrass you, you can't look down on us. In the past few days of interacting with each other, they had already placed Qin Sheng at the center. When they saw that Qin Sheng was working hard at her studies, they followed suit. In the end, their foundation was very poor. Although Qin Sheng was explaining the questions to them, they had only passed the passing mark. They were really afraid that Qin Sheng would despise them for losing face. Hearing this, Qin Sheng glanced at them helplessly. When you first came here, you loved to fight, your grades were bad, you didn't pay attention in class, and you even tried to show off to me. Have I ever despised you? Lin Feng and the rest patted their brains. Why didn't they think of this? Sister Sheng, we will definitely try our best not to embarrass you too much. Qin Sheng pinched the space between her eyebrows with a headache. Their poor grades had nothing to do with losing her face. However, seeing that almost all the students in class 4 were looking at her with sparkling eyes, her words were stuck in her throat. She could only let them be. Chapter 52. Exam 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 52. Exam 1. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. Compared to the relaxed atmosphere in Class 4, the atmosphere in Class 1 was very depressing. Liang Hua stood on the podium with a gloomy face. Our Class 1 is the best class in the third year of high school. In this exam, we will test out your best standards. Our class must occupy all the top 10 positions. The first place in each subject must be in our class. Those who are not in the top 30, don't blame me for being merciless. Liang Hua's teaching standards were not very high, but because she had always led the best class. The top 3 places belonged to her class. Every year, Liang Hua would receive the title of an excellent teacher and a large sum of money. She was a person who cared about her face. She would not allow other students from other classes to get into the top 10. If the exam results were bad, Liang Hua's attitude would be very bad. All the students in Class 1 lowered their heads and did not dare to speak. Liang Hua asked Lu Ming, Su Yixio, and Qin Churu to talk with her alone. The 3 of them were usually in the top 3 of the third year of high school. Su Yixio was in first place, and Lu Ming was in second place. Only Qin Churu's ranking would change from time to time. However, most of the time, she would still get in third place. This time, Liang Hua also had high hopes for them. Liang Hua's attitude was very good towards the few of them who had excellent results. Yixio, I understand the situation at home, but you must focus on your studies and maintain your first place. Su Yixio's parents had both died, and it was his grandmother who had raised him. His grandmother's health was very poor now, and she had been living in the hospital since the end of last semester. The medical fees were all earned by him working after class. Liang Hua was a snob, and she looked down on people with poor family backgrounds. However, Su Yixio's grades were good, and whenever he was mentioned, she would feel proud, so her attitude towards Su Yixio was still good. However, now that Su Yixio had to spend time to earn money, the time he could study after class was very little. Liang Hua was worried that Su Yixio would not be able to get good grades. Su Yixio nodded coldly. Liang Hua stopped talking to Su Yixio. She looked at Lu Ming again. Her attitude towards him was clearly better. Lu Ming, you have to work hard this time too. After saying a lot of caring words to him, Lu Ming put one hand in his pocket. He looked very impatient. Liang Hua knew Lu Ming's character. Seeing his performance, she was not angry, but in the end, she stopped. Lu Ming had a good family background. Liang Hua liked him very much. Churu, this time, you have to try your best to get third place. Then, there is hope for your mathematics competition. This was undoubtedly bait. Qin Churu wanted to participate in the national competition, but with Lu Ming and Su Yixio around, it was never her turn. Hearing Liang Hua say that she could also participate in the mathematics competition, Qin Churu's eyes lit up. She was also determined to get third place. She smiled and said, Teacher, I will definitely try my best to get third place. Liang Hua nodded in satisfaction. That's enough. You guys can go out first. The 3 of them left the office. The form teacher of class 2 said enviously, Teacher Liang, you are really lucky to have such an outstanding student. This Su Yixio has the chance to get a national top 10 position in the college entrance examination. When that time comes, Teacher Liang, you will be elected as an outstanding teacher of the entire country. Her tone was also a little sour. Liang Hua was younger than her and had less experience than her. If it weren't for Liang Hua's tricks, the teacher in charge of this class would have been hers. These outstanding students wouldn't have been led by Liang Hua. The teacher in charge of class 3 also flattered Liang Hua. Teacher Liang, it's also because you have the ability to teach these outstanding students. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't be able to do it. The average score of your class is close to 25 points. It's very difficult for others to do it. Chapter 53. Exam 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 53. Exam 2 Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. Liang Hua was in a good mood after being praised. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Teacher Lin sitting at the side in silence, reading her textbook seriously. Her face was full of mockery. She said in a weird tone, "Some people pick up all kinds of junk in the class. It seems that the average score this time will be much lower. However, no matter how low it is, it will still be the last place. It's better to teach the first year of high school than to be the worst class teacher." Teacher Lin adjusted her glasses. She was silent and did not say anything. She did not like to flatter Liang Hua. The other two class teachers liked to curry favor with Liang Hua, so she did not get along with the three class teachers. She was also someone who could endure it. She rarely had any conflicts with them. At most, there were only the three of them mocking her. When Liang Hua saw that Teacher Lin did not respond, she became even angrier. "Teacher Lin, the group in your class is like mud that can't be helped. Is there a need to be so serious?" She directly called out her name. Teacher Lin stood up, picked up the textbook and her bag, and walked out of the office. She could hear Liang Hua's disdainful sneer. When she came to the door, her footsteps paused. "Those with good grades and those with poor grades are all our students. Liang Hua, you don't deserve the word teacher. Lin Ku." Liang Hua stood up. Her face was very red. She was angry. Unfortunately, the other party only left her with her back view. "Teacher Liang, when the results are out, won't Lin Ku regret it? As a teacher, who doesn't like those with good results? If you don't like students with excellent results, do you still want to like poor students? Teacher Liang, you were chosen as an excellent teacher. If you can't afford to be called a teacher, who else can?" The form teachers of Class 2 and Class 3 quickly went up to comfort her. Hearing their words, Liang Hua's mood improved a lot. However, looking at Teacher Lin's position, her gaze became fiercer and fiercer. Qin Churu and the other two left the office. Qin Churu suddenly said, "I'll try my best to participate in this math competition." Su Yixio glanced at her indifferently. He was very cold and didn't say anything. Lu Ming was not so polite. He put his hands in his pockets and said rudely, "Your competition has something to do with me." Qin Churu's expression was awkward. She tugged at the corner of her clothes. "I feel honored to be taking the exam with you guys." Lu Ming hated Qin Churu very much. She always put on a coquettish and pretentious look. When he heard her words, he sneered. "I don't feel honored. What else? Whether you can get third place or not is still unknown." Before Qin Churu met Fu Hanchuan, she liked Lu Ming a little. Lu Ming's family background was good, and there weren't many people in school who were worthy of her. At this moment, when she heard his rude words again, her face flushed red. She looked at Su Yixio for help, but Su Yixio didn't even give her a look. Lu Ming sneered. "Why do some people never learn? Why do they have to think that they are a popular person?" Qin Churu clenched her fists tightly. Her eyes were red. It was unknown whether she was humiliated or angry. They had already walked back to Class 1. Lu Ming and Su Yixio returned to their seats. Qin Churu did not dare to let the people in Class 1 notice her strange behavior. She lowered her head and returned to her seat. At night, Qin Sheng went to bed early. The next day was the exam. After the people of Class 4 cheered each other on, they returned to their own exam room. The exam seating arrangement for the H City High School was random and not based on the results. Qin Sheng, Qin Churu, and Lu Ming happened to be in the same exam room. Lu Ming sat in front of Qin Sheng while Qin Churu sat by the window in the last row, a distance away from them. Nav Om. Chapter 54. Exam 3. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 54. Exam 3. Lu Ming was in the front, his eyes glancing backward from time to time. God knows how much Lu Ming wanted to turn around and talk to Qin Sheng. However, Qin Sheng didn't know him and he was worried that Qin Sheng would think that he was a lecher. Just as he made up his mind to strike up a conversation with Qin Sheng, he turned around and said, "Student Qin Sheng." At this moment, the teacher entered. Lu Ming. He could only turn around again. There was still time later, so he would look for her after the exam. This time, it was the science exam, so the teacher handed out the papers. Qin Sheng glanced at them briefly before picking up her pen. Her speed in doing the questions was very uniform, and her handwriting was very smooth. When the invigilator passed by Qin Sheng's position, he deliberately looked at her paper. Qin Sheng's scores were usually less than 5 points in the usual exams. She was already famous in the science section. The invigilator happened to teach physics. When he saw Qin Sheng's name, he started to pay attention. When he saw Qin Sheng's answer, he frowned and looked at Qin Sheng in surprise. It seemed that she was a capable person. This time, Liang Hua would regret it. In front of the teachers of the third year, Liang Hua was arrogant and looked down on them. These teachers did not dare to offend her due to her powerful background. On the surface, they were very polite to her. Behind her back, no one knew. The invigilator would be walking back and forth beside Qin Sheng for the rest of the time. Every time he looked at her answers, he would be shocked. The invigilator could not help but wonder if Qin Sheng had filled in the answers randomly. However, her appearance did not look like it. He returned to the podium and began to calculate the last physics question. Generally speaking, the last question was the most difficult. The teacher who came up with the question this time was famous for making things difficult for the students. He wondered if this teacher had shown mercy this time. However, the invigilator was sweating profusely. The drafts were filled with calculations. 10 minutes later, there was only one solution written on that question. Qin Sheng had stopped writing long ago. She was very good at calculation and did not need to write a draft. Now that she had finished writing the entire paper, her draft paper was blank. When it was time to hand in the paper, Qin Sheng came to the podium. A paper was placed on the podium suddenly. The invigilator was shocked. He looked up and saw Qin Sheng. He couldn't help but ask, "Student, what's the matter? Hand in my paper." The invigilator. He held his glasses and widened his eyes. He couldn't even speak clearly. Hand in your paper." "Yes." Qin Sheng stood below the podium and answered obediently. The invigilator adjusted himself and waved his hand. "All right, you can leave now." The moment Qin Sheng left, the invigilator couldn't wait to pick up her examination paper. Looking at her answers, he smacked his head and nodded repeatedly. So that's how it was. The invigilator couldn't help but wonder if Qin Sheng was a teacher or if he was a teacher. The students only took a glance at the commotion on his side before burying their heads in calculating the answers. This examination paper was too difficult. There was only half an hour left and they still had a lot of questions that they hadn't completed yet. They didn't have the time to care about others. When Qin Churu saw Qin Sheng hand in the test paper, her lips curled into a mocking smile. It seemed that Qin Sheng had given up. As expected, he was a bad student. In terms of results alone, Qin Sheng had completely lost. Lu Ming believed that Qin Sheng had already finished, so he opened his mouth wide. His sister-in-law was trying to snatch first place from Su Yixio. It seemed that his position as the second in 10,000 years would have to be shifted. Lu Ming was only stunned for a few seconds before he lowered his head again. He could not be left too far behind by his sister-in-law. Otherwise, how could he still have his face? Chapter 55. Exam 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 55. Exam 4. The invigilator was tortured by Qin Sheng, and it took him a long time to recover. With his hands behind his back, he walked around the classroom. Seeing that all the students were calculating the answers with sweat all over their heads, the invigilator finally regained some confidence. This was the normal phenomenon. Only when the bell rang at the end of the exam did Lu Ming put down the exam paper. He was stuck halfway through writing the last question. Qin Churu was good at Chinese and math, but not science. She still had 40 points left to do this time. When everyone left the exam room, they were all very depressed. It was obvious that they had been hit. Qin Churu was even more depressed. Her palms were sweating. She had prepared well for the exam this time. She had been confident about getting third place, but now, she could imagine that there was no hope. She could solve the simpler questions, but she would be left behind by many others when it came to difficult questions. She had filled in a few of the multiple choice and filled in the blanks questions randomly, not to mention that she still had 40 marks left. Qin Churu's state of mind had not been adjusted properly, which affected the rest of the exam. In the next 3 subjects, Qin Sheng handed in her papers on time. During the science exam, Qin Sheng would still hold back, but in the end, Qin Sheng would finish in about an hour, and the rest of the time was spent sleeping. Liang Hua specially came to Qin Sheng's exam room. When she saw Qin Sheng sleeping on the table, she smiled disdainfully. It seemed that Qin Sheng was a useless person. A bad student was indeed a bad student. This time, Lin Ku would be so regretful that her intestines were turning green. With such a person around, her average score would be so low that it would break the historical record. She would see if she still dared to be arrogant. To say that she could not be a teacher, how could Lin Ku be let go like that? The students that she taught would all have to take the Imperial Capital University and Beijing University in the future. Meanwhile, most of Lin Ku's students would not even be able to take the second test. The last subject was English. Qin Sheng was the same as before. There was still half an hour before the end of the exam to hand in her papers. Lu Ming had spent some time abroad when he was young. He was very good at English. Not long after Qin Sheng handed in the exam, he quickly handed in the exam. Qin Churu saw Lu Ming catching up to Qin Sheng and talking. Lu Ming was talking, but Qin Sheng ignored him. He was not angry either, and continued to talk by himself. Qin Churu bit her lip. She used a lot of force, and the pen broke the exam paper. Qin Sheng. They had been in the same class for more than 2 years, but Lu Ming had never taken the initiative to talk to her. Why did he catch up to Qin Sheng and act like a lackey? 2 days of exam time soon passed, and Qin Sheng began to spend her time writing proposals at night to break away from the Qin family and sever ties with Qin Hai and Lin Shuya. Sheng. It was Saturday, and Qin Sheng had received a call from Hong Yuan early in the morning. Qin Sheng had been writing proposals until very late last night. When Hong Yuan called her, she was still in bed, and her voice was a little confused. What's the matter? Sheng, I'm sorry. Hong Yuan's voice was very low. Du Kaifeng found out that I wanted to register the company. His connections are stronger than mine, so the company registration was blocked. Maybe, Hong Yuan didn't finish his sentence, but it was obvious that he wanted to say. With Du Kaifeng around, he might never let him register the company. Hong Yuan wanted to let Qin Sheng register the company under someone else's name, but when he thought of the young girl's ability, his words were stuck in his throat. Qin Sheng leaned against the headboard and narrowed her eyes. All right, I got it. I'll settle this matter. You can continue working on the company. Qin Sheng had just returned from her rebirth not long ago, and the company was still in the preparatory stage. It could be said that she did not have any connections. However, she could find someone to help. Chapter 56. Help. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 56. Help. Qin Sheng hung up the call with Hong Yuan and called Fu Hanchuan. Brother Fu. Fu Hanchuan picked up the call immediately and said in a low and hoarse voice, Sheng Sheng. Qin Sheng's eyes curved slightly. Brother Fu, I have something that I need your help with. Okay. Fu Hanchuan's lips curled up and he was very excited. Qin Sheng was very independent and he couldn't find anything that could help her. Now that Qin Sheng took the initiative to bring it up, Fu Hanchuan was in a very good mood. Qin Sheng told him about Du Kaifeng, and Fu Hanchuan was shocked. Qin Sheng was going to open a company. After the shock, Fu Hanchuan's heart was full of pride. His little girl's talent was extraordinary. Okay, this is not difficult. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, Qin Sheng shook her head. Her eyes seemed to be shining. Brother Fu, thank you. She and Fu Hanchuan had not known each other for long in this life, so she should not have troubled him. However, there seemed to be a pull that unconsciously pulled her and Fu Hanchuan closer. In addition to their relationship in her previous life, Qin Sheng would always subconsciously want to find Fu Hanchuan. In this world, the only people she could trust were Fu Hanchuan and Old Master Lu. They were truly good to her, and it was because of this that she desperately tried to seize this warmth. Between us, there's no need to say thank you. Fu Hanchuan's eyes were smiling as he said dotingly, Sheng Sheng, Grandpa said he misses you. Speaking of which, it had been a few days since he had seen her. Qin Sheng looked at the time. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. It was still early, so she nodded and said, Okay, I'll go over later. Okay, I'll pick you up. The corners of Fu Hanchuan's mouth curled up. Okay. Qin Sheng went downstairs for breakfast and took a painting out of the Qin family's gate. Qin Churu had been paying attention to Qin Sheng the whole time. When she saw her go out, Qin Churu followed her. When she saw Qin Sheng get into a car, the man from last time gently opened the car door for her. He placed his hand on top of her head, worried that she would bump into something. Qin Churu bit her lower lip hard, her hands intertwined together. Qin Sheng, why do you always want to take away my things? Her heart was filled with hatred. When Qin Sheng returned, her originally smooth life was blocked. It was all because of Qin Sheng. If it wasn't for her, she wouldn't have experienced all this. Little did she know that this was only the beginning. On the other side, Qin Sheng and Fu Hanchuan arrived at the Lu family home. Old Master Lu was throwing a tantrum. He scolded Lu Ming, who was sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed. Say, you, what are you doing sitting like this? Day after day, you're not behaving properly. Get out. Don't say that you're the grandson of Lu Zhonghua. I can't afford to lose this face. Lu Ming. He only quietly put his foot down and only crossed his legs. Who was he bothering? He even suspected that he was not his grandson. Every time he came back, he would scold him. It seemed that Grandfather Lu would feel uncomfortable if he didn't scold him. With this thought in mind, Lu Ming asked, Grandfather, am I your biological grandchild? Old Master Lu wanted to knock his head, but Lu Ming dodged first. He was sitting quite a distance away from Old Master Lu. At least Old Master Lu wouldn't be able to knock his head, but he didn't expect Old Master Lu to hit his leg with his walking stick. Lu Ming. Old Master Lu. I hope you're not my biological grandchild. With a grandson like you, I can live a few years less. Thinking back to that year, Old Master Lu sighed a few times. When your mother was pregnant with you, she liked to eat spicy food. Pregnant women who eat spicy food usually have girls. Our entire family thought that your mother was pregnant with a girl and was very happy. Chapter 57. Taking care of a person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 57. Taking care of a person. He looked at Lu Ming with disdain. Who knew that you were born with a penis? Lu Ming picked his ears. Damn, he was complaining that he was a man again. He had heard this kind of words at least 800 times. Old Master Lu continued, it would be so good if you were a girl. Lu Ming moved a few steps closer to the sofa and complained, Grandpa, you like girls, so you dress me up as a woman. Also, you only dress me up. Don't I have a brother? He's also a man. Old Master Lu blew his beard and glared at him. He wanted to, but didn't he have the chance to do it? Fu Hanchuan, that brat, was very shrewd. He knew what he was thinking and hid far away from him. After that, he simply stopped hiding and said that if he dared to dress him up as a girl, then he would destroy the doll room that he had personally set up. Only Lu Ming was easy to bully, so old Master Lu put his claws on Lu Ming and dressed him up well. Lu Ming's hair was a little long when he was young. Old Master Lu gave him 3 pigtails, put on a pink and tender princess dress, and coupled with his exquisite and beautiful face, took him out. Everyone who met him would praise that old Master Lu had a beautiful granddaughter. Let's not mention how arrogant he was at that time. However, after Lu Ming grew up, old Master Lu didn't have the chance to lay his hands on Lu Ming. When he dressed Lu Ming up as his granddaughter, he loved him very much. Once he changed into a man's outfit, he would be despised. Every time Lu Ming was at home, old Master Lu would find all sorts of excuses to despise him. Old Master Lu's face was stern. Lu Ming, I heard that you're in H City High School. I have a girl here who's also in H City High School's 3rd year. However, she's in class 4. Take good care of her. Lu Ming nodded and heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that it was nothing. It was just taking care of one person. He could still do it. There was not much difference between taking care of one person and taking care of 2. He stretched out his hand and grinned. Grandpa, are there any benefits? I won't do it if there are no benefits. Brother also asked me to take care of someone. He gave me a top-notch computer. That's worth more than $1 million. Old Master Lu blew on his beard, and a walking stick fell into Lu Ming's hand. I asked you to help, and you even asked me for benefits. Am I not poor? After being cheated out of more than 1 million yuan by QS, it was not the time to give him living expenses. Lu Ming was very poor, and he did not dare to go anywhere every day. Old Master Lu now came back to his senses, and his heart skipped a beat. Wait, you just said that your brother also asked you to take care of others. Yes, a girl, Lu Ming gossiped, Grandpa, my brother is like a blooming iron tree. Just wait for your great-grandchild. No, he's not even an adult yet, so it'll take him a few years to get his great-grandchild. My brother is already 23 years old, so is he an old cow nibbling on young grass? Old Master Lu glared at him. Get lost. Old Master Lu was in a bad mood. He wanted him to take care of Qin Shing at school, but that brat beat him to it. Lu Ming. He was dumbfounded. Did he say something wrong again? Lu Ming was also eager to leave. Just as his butt left the sofa, he heard a pleasant voice, Grandfather Lu. Qin Shing's voice was very pleasant to hear and very recognizable. Lu Ming immediately thought of Qin Shing and looked over in disbelief. He saw Qin Shing walk in. Beside her was his brother, Fu Hanchuan. Lu Ming's eyes were wide open. His brother had kidnapped his sister in law and brought her back to meet the parents. Wasn't this speed too fast? Qin Sheng was a reserved person. How could she be with his brother so quickly? It didn't make sense. However, in the next second, he wished he could dive into the cold water and wake up. He wanted to see if this world was a fantasy. Chapter 58. Painting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 58. Painting. When old Master Lu saw Qin Sheng, his expression changed instantly and he was extremely happy. Aya, Xing Xing, you've finally come to see an old man like me. I've missed you to death. He walked over and pulled Qin Xing up and down to size her up. He frowned. I haven't seen you for a few days and you've already lost weight. Did those people from the Qin family treat you badly? Grandpa will avenge you. Qin Sheng. When she had just returned to H City, she had put on 5 pounds. Had she lost weight? Qin Sheng had forgotten that in the past few weeks, her nutrition had kept up and her height had increased by a few centimeters. Lu Ming looked at old Master Lu and then at Qin Sheng. It took him a long time to come back to his senses. Grandpa, Qin Sheng, do you know each other? Old Master Lu was busy talking to Qin Sheng. At this moment, Lu Ming interrupted him and old Master Lu replied impatiently, it has nothing to do with you. After saying that, he pulled Qin Sheng to sit on the sofa and chatted with her. Lu Ming glanced at Fu Hanchuan who was standing at the side, feeling a little aggrieved. His mood was finally a little better. Fortunately, he was not alone. Lu Ming did not leave. Instead, he sat on the sofa and watched them chat. There were not many opportunities to get to know Qin Sheng. He could not waste them. However, he was surrounded by cold air. When Fu Hanchuan just entered, he happened to hear the old cow nibbling on the young grass. Now, he did not treat Lu Ming well. Was he old? He was only 20.3 years old. The difference of 5 years was the most suitable age gap. Lu Ming was a big-hearted person. He only felt cold. He touched his arm, but he did not notice Fu Hanchuan's strange behavior. He muttered softly, how can it be cold in this weather? Qin Sheng and old Master Lu were sitting not far away, so this sentence fell into old Master Lu's ears. He glanced at Lu Ming with disdain. Sheng Sheng is so thoughtful, unlike you, a stick-like person who causes trouble for me every day. Not a single day is easy. Girls are better. Lu Ming. Alright, girls are always better. He was born in the Lu family, so he came here to eat. Lu Ming also found a topic to chat with Qin Sheng. Sister. In law, Fu Hanchuan glanced at him, and Lu Ming quickly changed the way he addressed her. Sheng Sheng. Lu Ming was a person who acted like they were familiar with each other, and now, even Sheng Sheng was called. I heard that you're very handsome. In class 4, you kept Lin Foam well. Behaved. In this school, you're the only one who has the ability to do that. Once the conversation started, it was almost impossible to stop. Qin Sheng sat on the sofa and listened quietly. She had met Lu Ming in her previous life, and she knew that he was grandfather Lu's grandson, but they didn't have a deep relationship. After being reborn, many people and things went on a completely different trajectory from her previous life. In this life, could her fate be completely different? And grandfather Lu's, would he die early too? Lu Ming said this for 10 minutes. Old Master Lu could not stand it anymore and berated, Lu Ming, if you say any more, get out of here. Lu Ming shut his mouth and made a zipper gesture. Qin Sheng took out her painting. Grandpa, I drew this. I signed up for the selection of H City's youth painting competition. Please help me take a look. Old Master Lu was a little surprised. Sheng Sheng, you know how to paint. He couldn't help but feel a little excited in his heart. Old Master Lu thought that he could finally help Sheng Sheng. Fu Hanchuan had snatched the opportunity to take care of Qin Sheng in school, so he couldn't snatch the painting away. It wasn't that he was being modest, but he was still very capable when it came to painting. Lu Ming also came over. Chapter 59. The Dream of the Two. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 59. The dream of the two. Old Master Lu slowly opened the painting and saw darkness. In the dark room, there was a haggard figure drawing. She was sitting in front of the painting. The hand holding the brush was withered and yellow, which did not match the back of a 20-something-year-old girl. The drawing on the paper was of a girl who was more than 10 years old. Only one face was drawn. Her eyes were exceptionally big and filled with vicissitudes of life and regret. Fu Hanchuan stared at the back of the painting in disbelief. The background in his dream and the face behind it belonged to Qin Sheng. It was very vicissitudes and did not have the spiritual energy of the present. Fu Hanchuan's gaze fell on Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng's expression did not change. Fu Hanchuan was puzzled. How did Qin Sheng paint this painting? Lu Ming quickly sat back down. He touched his arm. It's too sad. Old Master Lu was also immersed in the painting. He looked at the painting from the perspective of an artist. After a few minutes, Old Master Lu said, "Sheng Sheng, your standard is very high. Even an old man like me can't compare to you. But, isn't this too heavy and depressing?" Old Master Lu voiced his thoughts. Shouldn't there be a window here to let in some sunlight and give people a sense of hope? The entire painting had a dark tone. Even the position where the girl was sitting was a little dim. Hearing this, Qin Sheng nodded. There was obvious surprise in her eyes. "Thank you, Grandpa Lu. I've thought about it for a few days, but I still don't have an answer. With your guidance, I understand." Old Master Lu smiled. "Sheng Sheng, you're very talented in painting. Come and find me more often. I don't have much ability. I can be said to be better at painting than the well-known painters in the country. Calling me a master isn't nonsense. Yes, as long as Grandpa Lu doesn't find me annoying." Qin Sheng narrowed her eyes and nodded with a smile. Old Master Lu laughed heartily and said, "I'll never find you annoying." Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh. His grandfather really liked girls. His biological grandson was a piece of grass in his eyes, and Qin Sheng was a treasure. L.C. Qin Sheng accompanied Old Master Lu all the way home at night. Fu Hanchuan sent Qin Sheng back to the Qin family, and Lu Ming also wanted to get in the car. Fu Hanchuan was expressionless. "Ask the driver to send you back." Lu Ming had a place to stay outside, and he would occasionally stay outside. Lu Ming was puzzled. "Brother, isn't this on the way?" In response, there was a bang. The car door closed, and Lu Ming was blocked outside. Lu Ming. Well, he finally understood. His brother didn't want him to be a third wheel. Lu Ming rubbed his nose and asked the driver to drive him back. It was very quiet in the car. When they were waiting for the first traffic light, Fu Hanchuan moved his lips and asked the question that he had been wondering about. "Sheng Sheng, where did your painting come from?" Qin Sheng didn't tell him about her rebirth. "I had a dream. I had a very long dream. It seemed to dream about everything that happened in my previous life. Wasn't that right?" Qin Sheng was reborn. To her, her previous life was just a dream, a very real dream. Fu Hanchuan tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "Can you tell me about your dream?" The green light lit up, and Fu Hanchuan started the car again. After a long time, Fu Hanchuan heard Qin Sheng's response. She said in a low voice, "Yes." Qin Sheng told him about her experience in her previous life. Her words were very calm, but it was exactly the same as what he had dreamed. Fu Hanchuan felt a throbbing pain in his heart, as if an ant was gnawing at him. He fell silent. His dream was almost the same as hers. It was just that his dream and Qin Sheng's description were more detailed. "Sheng Sheng, whether it's true or not, I will protect you for the rest of your life." After Qin Sheng got off the car, Fu Hanchuan suddenly spoke in a low voice. However, Qin Sheng didn't hear him. He watched Qin Sheng enter the gate of the Qin family before he left. Chapter 60. Results. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 60. Results. In the car, Fu Hanchuan called Assistant Lin. "Get someone to register Hong Yuan's company as soon as possible. Also, Find out who Longyu Technology's backers are. Investigate all of them and drag them down from their current position. Fu Hanchuan would keep Longyu Technology to relieve Qin Sheng's boredom, but he would remove all dangers for her. Longyu Technology had done a lot of things. With these backers, they were able to keep him in the dark. Those who would help Longyu Technology naturally did a lot of illegal things. After checking, those backers of Longyu Technology were able to fill more than a page of crime. It was enough to drag them down. Assistant Lin was very fast. He found out all of them in one night. The next day, he handed over the evidence. The inspection department immediately sent people to arrest them. In one night, a lot of people were arrested. There were those who lost their jobs and those who went to jail. A few people who escaped called the chairman of the Longyu group. Chairman Fong, we're in trouble because of you. You can't just leave us alone. The people who were in trouble this time were all people who were related to him. When he thought about it again, they had just helped to stop Hong Yuan from registering his company when something happened. They quickly contacted Chairman Fong. Now, they were here. Chairman Fong usually bowed to these people and gave them a lot of benefits. Now that he saw that they were useless, his expression turned sour. Don't drag me into what you did. Chairman Fong, are you trying to burn the bridge after crossing it? Without us, your company would have been in trouble. If you don't help us, don't blame us for exposing everything about your company. Chairman Fong was not afraid of their threats. Whatever. He had done a lot of things, and he was also a cautious person. He had destroyed all the evidence. It would be useless even if they sued him. Chairman Fong hung up the phone. He sat in his seat and rubbed the space between his eyebrows. This time, his network in the audience could be said to have been completely destroyed. What he wanted to do next had to be stopped. Who was it that had the ability to destroy all his connections in the officialdom? Hong Yuan didn't have the ability, but this time, the person behind him. Chairman Fong's heart skipped a beat. The person behind Hong Yuan wasn't simple. If he didn't find someone to trip him up this time, would all of this not have happened? When Chairman Fong thought of this, for a very long period of time, he became more well-behaved and did not dare to find trouble with Hong Yuan. In the end, he could not take it lying down. In the end, he vented all his anger on Du Kaifeng. Du Kaifeng was living in misery. After the weekend, it was Monday again. The results of the third-year high school standard test were out, and the rankings were all out. Early Monday morning, Liang Hua arrived at his office. The positions of the 4 class teachers were filled with the scores and rankings of the students from each class. The class teachers from Class 2 and Class 3 also arrived. When they saw Liang Hua, they said enviously, "Teacher Liang, your class did really well in the test this time. When will I be able to teach these students? Our class only has 1 in the top 10, and Class 3 doesn't have 1. Looks like there are 9 in the top 10 in your class again. This time, Su Yishio will definitely be in first place, and Lu Ming will be in second place. There's a high chance that Qin Churu will be in third place." Their positions were similar to Liang Hua's, but they did not look at Class 1's results. Basically, it was those few students who were ranked at the front. There was no need to think about it. There was no need to look at them. The corners of Liang Hua's lips curled up, and with a rare humility, she said, "It's all their own credit." Then she put down her bag, took the report card, and looked at it.